Welcome back to the Sunny Talk Spurs YouTube channel, and I needed to do this emergency video because, well, I was going to say there's a lot going on with the club, but at the same time, there's not a lot going on with the club. It's just absolute tumbleweed territory. And to talk about what the hell is going on at Tottenham Hotspur at the moment, I'm joined by Henry. How are you doing, mate?
I'm good, mate. It's an interesting time, isn't it? The transfer window's just opened. We've had Vinay come in and then dropped what looks like a bombshell in the boardroom. We've had Donna Cullen step down. Now there's a lot of rumours about Son and transfers and is Ange going? Is he can't? I mean, I always say, I don't know if you feel like this, but I'd love to see a normal day in Tottenham, but it just kind of feels like this is it. There's always so much drama all the time.
Yeah, it's like that the Antonio Conte meme, is it? Just one normal day of Tottenham. That's all I ask. But what we'll do is we'll start with the breaking news that literally just broke as we were about to start recording about Son. And there's a tweet that's gone out by Sam Wallace, quite a reputable source, saying that Tottenham captain Son Heung-min could leave this summer. Extra year on contract means club will want a fee. End of the era for one of Spurs' best signings. So what do you make of that? Because, I was saying to you just before we were recording, he has fulfilled a dream for us. We all wanted to see that player lift the trophy because of his loyalty that he showed to the club. He was made captain when Ange came in. But do you think that maybe his departure makes sense considering that, we are looking for maybe a better left winger of a younger profile?
Yeah, I think I'm a big believer of kind of go out on a high. I'd love Son to. I think now is the best time. You've just lifted a European trophy with the club. You've been the captain for our most successful season in terms of silverware in 17 years. But like you said, we are trying to go in a new direction. The club wants to get back into competing in and around the top four. That's the goal while bringing silverware in. There's a lot of talented left wingers out there right now that are on the market. Nico Williams is one. Leroy Sane is another one we're linked to. Son's the other side of 30 now, and these are the years of when he's going to slowly start to decline. And I'd rather him leave now. If it's a Saudi team that come in, they'll pay handsomely for him. We've just seen Bruno Fernandes, and I know Bruno's a few years younger and at the peak of his powers right now, but they've just put 100 million on the table for Bruno. In this market, you could get a decent fee from a Saudi team and then put that back in, go and get an Eze type player. I mean, we've just seen Man United have got Cunha and Mbuemo. Like I thought we were the team that won the Europa League. That's what I feel like. It's just, yeah, it's frustrating at times.
Yeah, I feel like we've got a bit of a bitter taste in our mouth following that Europa League, and I'll ask you about all that as well. But we've come out of it, and it's just an absolute mishmash. You go on Twitter, you go on social media, and the Tottenham current status is just all over the place. But I'll talk about the final because I haven't really caught up with you since then. Like, obviously, you were out there, unlike myself, who was in sunny Benidorm, not too far from Bilbao. But what did it mean to lift that trophy? Because even now, like, we're coming up to the 2 week anniversary of it. It feels funny saying the word anniversary, but it still gives me like goosebumps. It's still, seeing the players, seeing that trophy. Like, what does it mean to you as a Spurs fan to finally lift
Oh,
some silverware after 17 years?
it's the best day of my life. Best day of my life supporting this football club. I mean, I'm getting married in a few months. I don't know if I can really say that, but supporting this football club, it unbelievable. I said I met up with the boys from We Are Tottenham TV. I met up with Sean from Spurs Talk Show, and I was just saying, it's got 1-0 written all over it. It's going to be a horrendous game. I think we'll play like we did against Frankfurt away. We'll play like we did against Bodo away, and we'll defend because we're good at that in a low block system. And when we got over the finish line, it was like the stadium atmosphere when they played like Free from Desire, We Are the Champions. It was bouncing in there. Afterwards, everyone was going out, to the very early hours of the morning. Well, some people were going out until midday and then going home and sleeping. It was unbelievable. But now we're at a point now where we have to build on that. We've got to go again, go and buy 2 or 3 players now of top quality. This Premier League season coming up, for me, is going to be the most competitive season Tottenham have had ever in the Premier League. We're in the Champions League now, where it's minimum we're going to play is 8 games, whereas before it was 6 group stage games. Plus, we've also got FA Cup, League Cup. The Premier League season's more demanding than it's ever been. You've got teams like Bournemouth and Fulham and Brighton that are very competitive now, and Brentford. So we have to go and strengthen on this. It's as fantastic as of a night it is. I don't want Tottenham to have another Premier League season like that. 20 plus defeats was just watching. I've said this many times. We were like the flipping Bonnie Blue and Lily Phillips of the Premier League, mate. We were getting battered on a weekly basis. So we can't have another season like that. Great as a night it was unbelievable. We'll all cherish it until the day we die. I never thought I'd see Spurs win a European trophy in my lifetime. And I was there at the final against Man United as well. I mean, it doesn't really get better, but like I said, we have to build on this now. Like, go and get two players of top quality. I mean, if Man United lost that final and they've got Cunha and Mbuemo, which I think most Tottenham fans would go, I'll take both of them in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I've said to a lot of people, like Spurs fans I know, rival fans I've spoke to, that this could really be a springboard moment for Spurs. Like, we didn't see this final or this win as the Champions League. We saw it as the trophy. But we've got the trophy, we've got that monkey off our back. But now this is the time where you think, right, we're back in the Champions League. We can spend money. It's just if Daniel Levy will, for once in his life, put his hand in his pocket and invest in, good players. And before, I think we'll end off the video talking about transfers, like, some of those rumours you spoke about and, well, lack of. But looking at the main talking point, and as this is being recorded on Tuesday around 4 o'clock, Ange Postecoglou still sees himself as the Tottenham boss. Now, I know your opinions about Ange. I know, obviously, from watching your channel, you probably know what mine have been and how they've changed. But at the current state of play, what is your opinion on it? Because I feel like lots of Spurs fans are like really on the fence at the moment. And like, I'm a bit like that as well. Like, when he won it, I said, you proved me wrong, Ange. You went out there and you won it. And I feel like if he stayed on, I'd be like, okay, maybe he's earned that. But at the same time, I'm sitting there thinking, but if we can bring someone in who can maybe like rejuvenate the squad and, get some signings of their own and really get us ticking. And because what we want is we want to have that winning mentality, but be fighting up the table and, not be embarrassed and lose away 8 games in the Champions League. But so I'm really on the fence about it all because it is a proper stick or twist moment. We've seen it with Manchester United. Like, they sacked Erik ten Hag. And look, people use that as the argument. They go, well, we don't want an Erik ten Hag, but Ruben Amorim's hardly, got in there and made it his own. So what is your current thought about the managerial position?
The Man United one's interesting because Ruben Amorim's only been there a few months. So I think the portion size to compare to is very, very difficult. We are in a Ten Hag territory right now. I think if you look at this, it's like your head over your heart argument. It's a logic over emotion. The logical part in me says we need to bring a new manager in. He needs to go out on a high. He needs to find another club where it suits him to have players and he can play in a league. Not no disrespect to Celtic, but he can go back to that sort of league or go to another Premier League club. There's managers out there. You've got Marco Silva, Thomas Frank's heavily linked to the club. I don't think Andoni Iraola is going to leave Bournemouth unless we pay 15, 20 million quid compensation like United did to Sporting to get Ruben. And then you've got like the higher managers like a Xavi Hernandez, who is not out of the realm as a possibility because we've always paid high wages for managers like Jose, Conte, etc. I think right now, a lot of Tottenham fans that are saying they want to keep Ange in, I think that's based on the emotion of winning silverware. What we don't want to happen is keeping Ange Postecoglou and having an Erik ten Hag situation where it comes to October, we haven't won a game in the Champions League yet. We're struggling in the league. We're 15th or 16th. And then people won't remember him winning the cup. They'll remember his last period at Tottenham because no one really talks about Erik ten Hag's FA Cup or League Cup. They talk about the last 3 months he was in charge. Now, there's a manager on the other side of London, Thomas Frank, who would be my first choice, who works with a low budget, has got Brentford sustainable in the Premier League, has sold big players like Ivan Toney. They've just sold Flecken. They signed his talent ID when it comes to signing players. They got Mbuemo and Wissa for a combined fee of £30 million, which I take both of them in a heartbeat. They got Nordegaard for like 30 mil. I take him as well. Everyone was laughing when Ben Mee left Burnley, went in and did a good job there. I think he can also play a 3 at the back, he can play a 4 at the back. He can play counter-attacking. He's a very, very underrated manager. And I know people say, oh, but, last season he finished 16th or 17th. Well, we've just finished 17th this season. So, okay, we've got a Europa League, granted, but our Premier League form hasn't been much better than theirs last year. And this year, there was only a handful of points off of a Conference League place. Brentford in Europe is a remarkable achievement for them, considering their transfer budget is a fifth of ours. Their stadium capacity is a third of ours. Them as a brand is nowhere near the size of Tottenham. You bring him in, he makes us hard to beat. You haven't got Romero and Van der Ven doing 25 sprints a game. I'm not putting all of the injuries on Ange, but some of it, we don't have to go, do we?
I agree with that completely, the injuries.
He makes us, there's a completely different dynamic to the way we play. You look at their recruitment over the years. They've got David Raya for dirt cheap, sold him on for a profit. They've got Ivan Toney for cheap, Ollie Watkins for cheap, Ben Rama for cheap, Nordegaard, Wissa, Mbuemo. I mean, who's to say that we can't bring him in and then go and sign Wissa for the 30, 40 mil, whatever they want for him? He's just scored 19 Premier League goals or whatever it is. We don't have to go and spend hundreds and hundreds of millions of pounds to be successful. Newcastle don't go and do it. All right, granted, they got Alexander Isak for 70 million. They got Tonali for 50 or 60. They got Bruno Guimaraes for 40 mil. They got Dan Burn for 20. They got Livramento from Southampton for 30. You don't have to go and spend 500-600 million quid like Arsenal fans or Chelsea fans think you do to be successful. So, yeah, if Thomas Frank is available, bring him in, because I think we'd be a very successful team under him.
That's a very good argument, mate. And I just think the disrespect I'm seeing about Thomas Frank, like he's, I don't know, I don't want to say like compare him to other managers, but I just feel like the job he's doing is underrated. And I feel like because he is like quite media facing, and he comes across amazing in the media, but when you've seen him on like Monday Night Footballs and like the way he thinks analytically, and what you got to remember is this is also his like first job in football, really. I mean, he managed a lot in the Danish under 21s and all those sort of age brackets, but he came in, he replaced Dean Smith at Brentford, like quite sort of like, oh, right place, right time, and he's earned his place. He got him promoted to the Premier League. They obviously didn't get promoted first time, lost to Fulham in the playoffs, but what he's been able to do, and like the way he's turned players into stars. A Brentford team who finished 10th, which is remarkable, having two players with like 20 goals in the Premier League each is nothing short of amazing. And I think I saw an actual rumor saying that we tried to sign Wissa in January, because apparently there's rumors going around today that Ange, if he does stay, he wants to actually get some like proven talent. Wissa, I think, is like 27, 28. So I mean, if we could get him in, that would be fantastic. Thomas Frank's obvious he's my first choice, because I think Iriola is too erratic. It's a pretty much more of the same. And I still think with him, I've got a major question marks. Whereas Thomas Frank's probably due this move. Like everyone, whenever you speak to people who like, this is what's funny with the disrespect, you go to someone like, oh, Thomas Frank's due a step up, and you go, where? And they just go, Dortmund. And it's like, that's just an easy thing to just chuck out there. And like Dortmund aren't even looking for a manager. So I feel like it's different to Nuno. Like he's a different manager to Nuno when we hired him. I think people just use lazy comparisons. So yeah, I think your argument's spot on, mate. But then moving on to like the club in general, obviously a lot has changed. Well, I say a lot. We've obviously got our new CEO come in. Donna Cullen's left. Paratici's apparently coming back. It's a bit all over the place at the moment, and same with the managerial situation as well. So what have you sort of made of like how the club has, how it's all played out in the last couple of days and weeks when it comes to the hierarchy?
I think a lot of the hierarchy stuff has been planned. George Bannister, who's a fairly clued up person, kind of he's not in with the club, but he's an ITK. He was saying that the Donna Cullen thing has been planned for a while. I think it may be slightly coincidental that it is on the same day as Vinay starting. He might be taking over. I mean, she has been Daniel Levy's right-hand person for 20 plus years, 25 years, since owning this football club. She's been there every step of the way for the transformation of White Hart Lane to Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, getting us over the line for the Europa League. She's been a big voice in the board room. However, now I think I wouldn't be surprised if Ange goes, Scott Munn follows. I think, and that's not just because they're both Australian, but no one really knows what Scott Munn's actual role in the football club is. You've got Lange, who's meant to be the director of football, but if we bring Paratici in, where does that leave him? You've got Scott Munn, who's chief football operations manager, something along the lines of that. I think he was brought in for multi-club ownership, personally. You got to think back to Levy's early reigns. We owned part of Rangers, part of AEK Athens, part of Slavia Prague. Daniel Levy was the first multi-club owner in the Premier League before the rules changed. Now the rules have made it more feasible for clubs. I mean, you look at Crystal Palace. The owner of Crystal Palace owns part of Lyon. Chelsea own part of Strasbourg. Manchester United own part of Nice. As long as there's not a conflict of interest in terms of the competition you're playing in, you can own two football clubs now. And I thought he was brought in for that. And then you've got the whole Ange Postecoglou situation where, you know, he's currently on holiday in Greece. He's done an interview with ABC News. Somehow I ended up on that, you know, with there's like a 5-second clip of me and Rory Jennings just ripping into Ange. I think they're kind of digging us out, to be honest.
I've not seen that. I need to see this.
I'll send it to you afterwards. It's like me doing a match reaction after we just lost the League Cup. So I wasn't best pleased. But in terms of the club right now, I think we need to, one, like the three priorities for me is what's the brand of football we need to play? The club needs to figure that out ASAP. They have to figure that out because we can't go from counter-attacking to pressing to possession back to counter-attacking potentially with Thomas Frank. You know, the club, if you look at the Ajax model, the PSV model, the Sporting Lisbon, the Benficas, the Man Cities, you play the same brand of football from the academy all the way up to the first team. And it doesn't matter who the manager comes in, you're still playing that brand of football. I think that changes dramatically with Fabio Paratici coming back in because if Ange goes, I think Romero goes. And I wouldn't be surprised if Romero's already signed a contract with Atletico Madrid. I would not be at all surprised. You know, Romano knows a lot more than he actually says. A lot of this when he tweets stuff out the football news, like Chelsea with Mike Maignan, that was probably done some point last week where they started having conversations. You know, so one is understanding the style of football. Two is the manager, and three, what players are we going to sign? Now, for me, there are players out there where you don't need to know what manager it is. Eberechi Eze comes in. It doesn't matter what manager we've got. He ticks the boxes. Same as Mbuemo. Same as Wissa from Brentford. Same as probably Guehi, but Guehi's rejected us. I'm not surprised he's rejected us. They're in the Europa League. You know, he's probably looking at us going, well, that's a shit show over there. You know, they don't know what they're like. We need to understand who the manager is by Friday. Because, you know, teams around us are doing a lot of business. Chelsea, Hugo Ekitike, Liam Delap, Mike Maignan, and that young player from Dortmund. Man City, Reinders, Morgan Gibbs-White potentially, Livramento, Cherky. Yeah, Wayne Ant-Nouri, Liverpool, Frimpong, Wirtz, etc., Kirkes. Arsenal looking at Gyökeres, Sesko, Zubimendi. Man United have just got two of the best players from teams around us. And then there's us. And we're kind of like, we can't move on into the transfer market unless we know what fucking manager we've got. Otherwise, it's like you got someone spinning the plates. Like, what's happening? So I know that Ben Jacobs is a very, very, very good journalist. Has said that we've spoken to Frank 3 times. So that tells me that there's something going on behind closed doors. And according to Romano, we should see this week. But you know, the transfer window closes for a month on the 10th of June. So it closes a week today. Then you got the Club World Cup, and then it reopens after the Club World Cup.
Do you think that's why Spurs are a bit? Do you reckon they've seen this period as the period where they're not going to do their business? Whereas, like, I know City and Chelsea are because they want to register players for the Club World Cup. I know it's a bit different for maybe Liverpool because they're not in it, but maybe they see it as like an opportunity. Whereas because we haven't made that decision of a new manager, that's why we're sitting here going like, because we know what players we want. I did a video the other day, funny enough, and Mbuemo's gone on off that list if he's definitely going to Man United. But Yeah, I feel like that's probably why we've come to this stage where we haven't seen much movement because one, the manager, and two, I don't think I can imagine they didn't see this period as this first window as a period where they would do any business. But sticking with the transfer window, then I'll ask you this: from what you've seen so far, I know you were hinted there. What do you want to see the club do, and who do you want them to sign, like position wise and profile? Because I guess as you've said there, we've missed out on a couple of players already who don't really want to come to us. But I mean, I'll start with mine. I think Eze has got to be a must. I feel like that's a statement signing. The fact that funny enough, I saw it come up earlier, one of my old videos talking about it last year, and I was like, the fact that that was a year ago, and it's literally the same points I'm making now. I just feel like that's logical to go and sign him, especially with, we don't know how long James Maddison's going to be out for. Same with Kulusevski. We're lacking creators. He can play on the left wing if we need to. English international. Like, I just feel like that one makes a lot of sense. And then other positions, I feel like we definitely need a six or a midfielder, like an enforcer. Maybe another backup striker would be good. And a proper winger if we want to get on top of Eze as well. Not really sure who that could be. Maybe Leroy Sane or Tyler Dibling, but I'm not really sure on that unless the fee gets down. Then there's obviously are we going to sign him for a reduced fee? Romero's future. I mean, I've just saw a report that apparently Danzo is the Romero replacement, which I think Danzo's fine, but I don't think he's a starter. So how do you see us negotiating this transfer window over the next couple of months?
Yeah, the Danso one's an interesting one because I think he's a good backup, but I think Guehi would have been Guehi for me would have been ideal. And then you've got Guehi, Van der Ven, and Danzo. And then, to be honest, you probably need another one. We're going to be playing in 4 competitions. You'd hope that Tottenham could get to the last 16 in the Champions League. You'd hope that we'd go fairly deep in the FA and League Cup. In terms of like Eze, ideal. It's part of the same agency as all our players and coaches. The same agency have got a box at Tottenham Stadium. They always offer his family and close friends there. I mean, he'd be ideal. I still think we desperately are crying out for a number 6. Baleba at Brighton would be perfect, but 60, 70 million, they're probably the best club in the Premier League at selling their players. They got 120 million quid or 110 million quid for Caicedo. They got 50 million for Ben White, 30 million for Bissouma. They are really good at selling their players, so they might price us out. And you might see a Man City or someone else or a Chelsea come in for him or whoever it may be. We definitely need another fullback for me because I do think that one of Udogie or Porro are on the knife edge of getting a big injury due to the amount of minutes they're playing. Porro look at Kulusevski, it happened to him. He was playing every single minute. I think we need one more fullback just in case that happens because Spence, and it will be Spence and Udogie. And I don't think Archie Gray is a fullback. We still need a forward. Leroy Sane for me, good player, but he's a free transfer. And as we know, there's no such thing as a free transfer. His agent's going to want probably 10 million quid. He's going to probably want 10 million quid signing on fee. Then you got his wages. He's on 240,000 euros a week or whatever it may be. We'd have to break our wage structure because he's not going to want to pay cut because this is like his last big move in his career. He's done it at City. He's done it at Bayern. And then you got Matthias Tell. Now there's reports coming out that the report's lowered down to 30 million quid, 35 million euros. I'd take that. But we don't need another young winger in Tyler Dibling. We've already got Odebert. We've already got Tell Johnson, that young Korean player at QPR, which I can't pronounce his name.
Yeah,
also got,
just go with.
We've also got Richarlison that will play that. We need to figure out what's happening with Richarlison. He needs to be sold for me. Another one that
I agree.
If Saudi come in, they're paying stupid money. It's like almost like a cheat code in the market because you can get like a fairly average player. You could still get 30, 40 million quid if he's going Saudi. I don't know if you've seen that AC Milan are selling Theo Hernandez for like 30 million euros. I would bring him in a heartbeat at left back, have him and Udogie rotating. That would be an absolute steal for us. But whatever the transfer business we're going to do, we've got to pull our finger out because I know it's only a couple of days in the transfer window, but Liverpool are on the verge of spending already 200 million quid.
We'll get left in the dust, won't we? That's what's going to happen. And then all the best players are gone. Even like Angel Gomes, and I'm like, that's just not really
It's a free
inspiring to me.
transfer, but another free transfer. Like me and Sean have had back and forth over this for the best part of 2.5 years.
Mm.
And if Richarlison goes, Jonathan David's a free transfer. Now, I know a lot of people don't go, oh yeah, but he plays in the French league. He's hit 15 plus goals in the French league for the last 4 years. And
Yeah.
he won the league with Lille and had a very good record in the Champions League. Dominic Solanke, I don't know if he's going to be a 20 goal a season player like a lot of people think that he is. So I think a lot of our goals are going to have to come from wide areas. And other than Johnson, I don't think Tell's going to get 15 Premier League goals. I don't think Kulusevski can. I don't think Sane if he comes in. That's why we need to bring in someone like Eze, because he can get 10 plus goals. Maddison can get 10 plus, but yeah, it's going to be a very interesting period. I reckon the next 3 days, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, is going to be chaos.
Oh, it always is. It always is. I thought we had a good summer last year. I thought Solanke, we coughed up the money for a striker. Bergvall, if you count him, even though it was January, Archie Gray, or the Bear, they've all been all right. But it's those we need the leaders, the experience, and the problem is that, as you say, they're all getting snapped up. Like Mbuemo, I would have taken in an absolute heartbeat. Cunha, I'm not sure about. I don't know where he would fit, and I find his attitude problems a bit, hit and miss. But I just feel like we are running out of and the problem is what you find as well is teams like Palace, like Brentford, like Bournemouth, they work in a way that they sell one high-profile asset a summer. So when they've sold that one, it's going to be harder to then go. It's now going to be hard to go to Brentford and be like, how much do you want for Wissa? When they've already let Mbuemo go. So that's like taking 40 goals out of their team already. Whereas if, say, like Bournemouth, they sell Kirkes to Liverpool for 30, 40, that's good. It pays for their training ground, but then they won't sell Semenyo maybe because they're like, well, we don't really need the money and we still want to, we don't want to get in a relegation battle if Leeds are come up and are good this year. There's that risk of it's not guaranteed that the three championship sides are going to automatically go down. So yeah, it's just weird.
Leeds is an interesting one as well because Manuel Solomon, we signed on a free transfer. They could trigger that for 20 million quid. But I think as great as a lot of the Premier League players are, I do, and it's a bit hypocritical saying this, I do think we need to move away because there's a premium on Premier League players. I mean, Eze is 68 million quid. I mean, don't get me wrong, Eze is a fantastic player, but that's half the price of what Barca played for Dani Olmo or whatever. Maybe not half the price, but they paid less than that. And you're thinking, there's got to be a balancing act where a lot of the players we've signed in that team haven't come from Premier League teams. Romero, Udogi, Van de Ven, Bergvall, for instance. Okay, Johnson, Solanke did, and Maddison did. But the bulk of our team we've brought in, and that's when we had Fabio Paratici.
Yeah.
So
I think it's because we've been scarred, haven't we, from some like Ndombele, Lo Celso, when we've gone, especially I think a lot of the players you say there, we're good at taking good talent out of Serie A, but when it comes to Bundesliga and La Liga and Liga, and it's we're always picking the ones that never come off. And then you look at other teams like Newcastle who get Bruno Guimaraes, and you're like, how comes you get the ones who go right? And it just seems, but then that's a talent acquisition thing. And I think we have never really been perfect at that. It's always been think about Ericsson, think about Dele Alli. The players that always come good at us are the ones that cost nothing and were gems. Even like Van der Vaart, that was a bit plucky because after Real Madrid, we were like, can he be good? Modric, Bale, they all end up diamonds in the rough sort of thing. But
would you take Modric back on a free transfer for the year?
I did think about this.
Just for a bit of experience in the Champions League dressing room.
Why not? Why not? He can still do it. He wouldn't be expected to play.
How many games did he play last season?
I feel like he still played a bunch in that in the Liga and stuff.
He's 30. I can't believe he's 39.
I feel like he played 35 matches in the Liga.
In all comps, he played 57 games.
He's still got an engine. And that's probably
We're probably not going to play 57 games. Let's be brutally honest. We're
And
probably
also
not going to get that far, so he could quite easily come into us.
we got to remember as well, like he's just I don't know what because he's got this share in Swansea now as well, so he's still got his eye on English football. I just don't think it's the wages. I don't even know what he's on at or what he was on at Real Madrid. Whether we'll trigger that, like that's the problem as well. Everyone we talk about, even like Leroy Sane, he said like, oh, it's a good idea, but we're not going to pay the wages until we like smash our wage structure up in the air. We
€200,000 a week, and he
you
took a
know
pay cut as well. He went down from
like
300.
I'd say the positive thing though, you mentioned it there, like Solomon, we should get a good fee for. Højbjerg has made his loan permanent, so there's money coming from there. Werner going
Romero is
back to
probably going to go.
Leipzig,
That's going to be
like
60, 70 mil.
so Werner going back to Leipzig, like that's like a big chunk of wages we were paying. Romero, but then I hope with the Romero, we go out and sign someone of the
Who would you
same, like
bring in?
literally. See, it would have been Guehi, but now, I've seen
I do
Jared.
think you can still get Guehi. If you bring in Frank, I think you can get Guehi.
I feel like Jarrad Branthwaite is an option, but he's left-footed, so obviously that's a bit. What was good about Guehi was he's right-footed, but he can play on the left, and we've just got to sit here now thinking that Mickey van der Ven, there is a chance he will get injured at any stage of the season. My positive
Let
things
me
are
ask you something, and it might be controversial, and I
go
have
on.
got a lot of hate for this. If the write-off have come in for Van der Ven, would you let him go? Do you know how many Premier League games he's played in 2 seasons?
I will go
Out of a
with.
possible 76 games that Van der Ven could have played, how many
I'll go
Premier
with.
League games do you think he's played?
I'll go with 25.
So he played 27 last year and 13 this year. So he played
Oh, okay.
40 out of a possible
40. Okay,
78.
I
So
went too low
he's
though.
missed an entire season of football.
It is nuts. But then I'm thinking, so this is my fault as well, but like spitballing here, we're talking about defenders. If he's not playing a high line and not expected to keep doing that sort of
Yeah.
running, then maybe that's the reason he gets injured. Say we move on Romero. I think Dragerson under a Thomas Frank would be quite good because he's not being
I
expected.
forget
Because that's
about
why,
him.
but
It's
that
because we haven't seen him in months. I keep forgetting he's there.
I feel like with him, like with a defensive line that you're asking to just sit there and react to balls coming over the top. Like that's what I'm always surprised we signed him because I'm like he's not an Ange defender. Then I guess Danzo, you've got Vuskovic is still at the club. Like well, he's to come in rather. I think if you add one more in, maybe Guehi, Branthwaite, or someone like that, maybe go to Europe and see if there's any like a.
Inzaghi, sorry to cut you off. Inzaghi has just
That's right.
signed for Al Hilal. That's
Okay.
insane. So, wow. So he's just literally as we're speaking, Romano's just put out a here we go.
Did you want him at Tottenham?
He
Would
was
you have
only on
taken him?
€6 million a year. He was on less than Ange Postecoglou. I know people say, "Oh yeah, but you got slapped in the final or whatever," but it was that close to doing a treble this season. That close.
Mm.
So, I mean,
But then
I
that's
mean,
someone coming in. You could say that's someone coming in for him. And Al Halal, the problem is with the Saudi league. I assume you know all the stuff about that. All the PIF or whatever it's called. They're putting all the money into Al Halal because of the Club World Cup. Like even there's rumors of Ronaldo going there on loan and getting rid
yeah.
of Mitrovic to bring in like all these like talent. So that's the problem. If someone was coming in for Ange, you'd sort of be like, I bet our Spurs fans would be like, "Thank you, see you later then." But it's like that's not happening, is it? So. Yeah. Do you know what then? Why not go for Bastoni? Why not go to Inter Milan and test them for Bastoni or Stefan De Vrij or someone like that? Like,
I
you know,
think Bastoni's going to be 80 million quid. I don't think you'll get change out of that. But if you're getting 60 for Romero, it's only an
mm,
extra 20 million quid. But Bastoni's got to want to come to Tottenham when we'd have to play a three at the back, which is exactly
mm,
what Thomas Frank does.
yeah,
So you could have a back three of Dragusin, Van der Ven, and Bastoni in the middle, or Danso, Van der Ven, Bastoni, Porro and Udogi as wing backs, which is what their speciality really is, because they're not really fullbacks, are they? A
no,
double pivot of, say, a Bergval and Bentancur, and then Eze, Madison, and Solanke. And you look at it like
mm,
that and you think, on paper, it sounds fantastic. And that's only signing one extra player. So,
yeah. And that's what I like. I like the versatility of Frank. Like he can do that. Like he can change it up and be a bit more pragmatic in games. And like his record against the big six, or even like beyond the big six, is good enough. But yeah, I mean this whole conversation sort of sums up the stuff at Spurs. It's just an absolute bit of a circus. But one final question I'll leave you with, just a short one. Do you like the new kit? Yes or no?
I
Yeah.
wouldn't say
See, it's weird, isn't it?
I wouldn't say it's our best kit.
Mm,
Like I think one of my favourite kits I've had was just the plain all white.
yeah.
Like I really that was that. I think that was 2017-18 kit or 2019-20 kit.
Mm,
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, I don't mind it. I wouldn't say it's the best though. I'd probably give
yeah.
it a 6.5 out of 10.
Yeah. See, I would have gone with I like the centralized. I mean, I've always hated having a red sponsor, but we've had that for years. Like, think Mansion, think Tui or Thompson or whatever it was. We've always had that, but I just feel like the sleeves, like the sleeves are better this year, where they were all blue. Whereas like now, it just looks a bit. There's a grey bit. I feel like again, Nike just don't know how to do our home kit, but the rumored away, the black one and the yellow one look good. So
The black
I feel
kit
like
does look very, very
if
nice.
you ever want a Spurs kit, just get the away or the alternate, because I feel like the home kit Nike find a way to bugger it up. But yeah, so that's all we got time for today. Thanks, Henry, for coming on. I will have Henry's channel down in the description. But is there anything you want to hint towards or aim towards for people to go and find you, Henry?
Yeah, just at Henry Talks Football on all socials, TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, etc. If you want to come over there and follow, that'd be fantastic. And yeah,
Yeah.
hopefully in the next few days we'll find out what's going on at this absolute shambles of America around that we are at the moment.
I'm hoping I'm going to try and put this live very quickly, but I'm hoping it's not going to be a case of I put it live and just sacked. We've signed Eze, and it's all and instead we've appointed Marco Silva. But yeah,
Oh,
this club, you wouldn't think you said it really early. You wouldn't think we'd won a trophy, but at least we have. At least we imagine if we didn't, it would have been even more of a circus.
only
But
Tottenham could win a major European trophy and then practically sack their manager.
yeah, it is what it is. But
So,
yeah, cheers again, Henry. As I
no
say,
worries, mate.
his link will be in the description down below. And if you have enjoyed, leave a like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and let me know in the comments who would you like as a new Spurs boss if Ange is sacked. And is there any other guests you'd like me to get on the channel? But until next time, have a good day, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye.